Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Double standards, a rule or principle which is unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. Let's just break it down. A double standard. Andre Ward can fight Europeans, but not Canelo Alvarez? Look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. And we've seen all over social media, even on our own Q&A section, where we get people like Black Media Life stating that Canelo Alvarez is the bum slayer, the European bum slayer. The guy basically saying that Canelo Alvarez slays European bums. I mean, this is who he fights. I mean, you've even seen on social media such as Twitter, all under Eddie Reynoso, Canelo Alvarez posts all about these guys and these fanboys and haters and trolls saying idiotic things like the bum-ass Europeans that nobody knows at 168, one of the weakest divisions out. That's why Canelo settled there. The only guy worth mentioning is Benavidez, who Canelo Alvarez refuses to fight. Now, even though this guy is a hater and a troll, he just debunked his own self, because even Canelo Alvarez's team and coach have come out and stated that they're willing to fight David Benavidez after they get done with Caleb Plant. They're open to that fight, as well as Jamal Charlo. So at the end of the day, these guys are just haters, but they're carrying a different standard, a double standard, not complaining or criticizing when Andre Ward fought Europeans, but only when Canelo Alvarez does. Even Dante's Fat Ass Nation came out and stated in one of his prior videos that Canelo Alvarez is on a European tour. Those are the guys he prefers to fight, which makes zero sense to me, especially when you look at Andre Ward's career and you see that some of his biggest victories were against European fighters. And there's no shame in that, but you have to keep that same energy with everyone. I never heard somebody's on a European tour or it's bad to fight a European fighter like they're less than fighters. Some of the best fighters in the world right now are Europeans. I mean, look at Josh Taylor, undisputed. Look at Anthony Joshua, a killer. Look at Tyson Fury, elite. So you see that people dissing European fighters makes zero sense to me. And Andre Ward did nothing wrong. These haters and trolls are just not keeping the same energy and using a double standard against Canelo Alvarez. Look at Andre Ward's career. One of his biggest wins, Carl Froch. Another big win for him, Mikhail Kessler, and he was an underdog in that fight. I give Andre Ward all the credit in the world for winning those fights. At the end of the day, he's an elite fighter. He's a former champion. He's a Hall of Famer. He gets nothing but respect from me. But these fanboys, haters, and trolls have to keep the same energy. Why can't we give Canelo Alvarez the credit no matter who he beats? Why is there always an excuse, always a complaint? They act like Canelo Alvarez was out here fighting cab drivers. This man was out here fighting an undefeated world champion in his prime, in Callum Smith, who was the #1 ranked fighter at 168. He even won the World Boxing Super Series. So what's the problem with that? Not only that, Canelo Alvarez also fought Billy Joe Saunders, another undefeated world champion in his prime, who's a two-weight world champion in Billy Joe Saunders. How is that a cherry pick? These guys are not making any sense. The problem with the narratives, when you point them at Canelo Alvarez and hold him to a different standard and allow Andre Ward, he can fight anybody, but Canelo Alvarez can't, it doesn't make any sense. This is the problem with boxing. You must use the same standards for everyone. Everyone should be held to the exact same standards. And if you look at resumes, you see that Canelo Alvarez has fought much better competition overall than Andre Ward throughout his career. He fought Floyd Mayweather, Erislandy Lara. He fought a variety of styles that Andre Ward never simply fought. So at the end of the day, you have to give Canelo Alvarez credit. Andre Ward's an elite, great fighter, and I would never take anything away from him. But we have to keep the same energy in the same standard for both fighters. Both are great fighters, both are elite, both are Hall of Famers. But why can't they both get credit? Because men lie, women lie, but the facts don't lie.